One of the hardest games in recent memory didn't go the Owls' way.
A ranked opponent touched down in Philly this past weekend, and another top-ranked team is waiting on the horizon.
Live at Egberg-Olsen Hall, I'm Tim McFarland. One bright spot to Temple's early season offensive unit comes from a guy who grew up across the pond. Today, we'll introduce you to Peter Clark.
And I'm Tamar Stubbs at the studio set. Later in the show, I'll be taking a look at the Temple men's and women's tennis teams and the one man who finds a way to be in two places at once. Our sports update is live and starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this live edition of OwlSports Update and a new anchor duo. I'm Gabriel Linigton.
And I'm Kayla Levine. Another week of fall sports has come to a close, and it came with one team winning its first game this season in men's soccer and another team losing its first game of the season in football. First, football. The Owls are trying to shake off a beating at the hands of Oklahoma this past Saturday, and it won't get any easier this coming Saturday. The Owls are back on the road to face nationally ranked and undefeated Georgia Tech. It will be the second straight week Temple is matched up against a nationally ranked Power 5 team. Here is a look at the Power 5 school and this Saturday matchup with focus on guys behind center. Georgia Tech is 3-0 on the year and ranked 18th in the nation. Quarterback Haynes King has only played 2 of the 3 games after missing the Gardner-Webb matchup due to a lower body injury. Haynes hasn't thrown a touchdown pass this season, and that hasn't been a problem at all, even in that win over Clemson. On the other side of things, Evan Simon has 9 touchdowns so far for the Owls in their 2-1 start. It's going to be another huge test for the Owls, not only playing a nationally ranked team, but doing it on the road.
Test coming up with Georgia Tech. The test with Georgia Tech is they're going to be a little bit like us offensively in that, they're going to give you those shifts and those motions, and they're going to try getting you out of position. And they also do a great job just running the football right at you. Defensively, obviously they did a really good job against Clemson last weekend. And so it's another top 20 opponent we're going to get a chance to go play. This time, we're going to go on the road for that. So, the focus is really more about us, about, okay, for us to be in that game at all last week, we needed to play a lot cleaner, and we didn't. So let's get that cleaned up. Disappointed with
You know the old saying, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Let's take a look back at this past weekend. Oklahoma, the 13th ranked team in the nation, took the trip to the Link to go up against the Cherry and White. The Sooners in the Link, and they got off hot as Javonte Barnes gets the easy 3-yard run up the middle for the first score of the day and a 2-point conversion to get the score to 8-0. Now into the second, already down 25, Evan Simon hands it off to Jay Ducker, who powers through for Temple's longest play from scrimmage all day long. Oklahoma forced the punt, but on the next drive, the Owls get it back on a rare error by John Mateer that is picked off by linebacker Ty Davis. Then into the second half, and here we go, Mateer on the right end of the play as he performs the read option to perfection and gets a 51-yard house call to boost the score 39-3, the Sooners' longest play of the day. Now, here's some defense here as Sekou Cromer gets a sack on QB Michael Hawkins. But the Sooners are too much as they get the win over Temple 42-3. The Owls fall for the first time in 2025.
Pressure. We really couldn't get anything going with the run game. Tyler was really patient because the last thing you want to do is just have a bunch of 3-and-outs and throw the ball 3 times, and all of a sudden you're making this game even longer. I didn't sign up for 2.5 games. I signed up for a whole season. So let's see if we can get this fixed the second half. But I liked how how we kept on playing. It's just, again, we got to play cleaner. We're not going to be.
Temple as a team certainly struggled with consistency against a ranked opponent. The score wasn't pretty, however it was only the first loss of the season. So let's focus on one positive. There is lots of talk about tight end Peter Clark and his offensive production, not to mention his cool accent. But when I hear him, I don't hear an accent at all. OwlSports updates, Tim McFarland is live at Edberg Olsen to help explain.
Yes, Gabe, there are 7 international players on Temple's football team, but Peter Clark is the only one from Great Britain. And his focus is not only on winning games, but winning in his community as well.
13-yard line.
Temple tight end Peter Clark has had his eye on collegiate football for years, even from thousands of miles away in England. Clark did this through the NFL Academy.
So my goal in the NFL Academy was to go Division 1. It was Division 1 or bust. I'm the first person in my family to really graduate high school, go to college, so setting a new bar in my family and my community for what you can achieve.
The NFL Academy is an international program that simulates a more professional college atmosphere in order to prepare players for what they will experience at the college level. And it's worked for Clark, who is one of Temple's primary tight ends.
And he's really taken that on. And he just has really stepped up on game day and made some great catches. He's more athletic than you think he would be, being such a large human being.
In just 2 games, he's caught 6 balls for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's everything. When I'm on TV scoring touchdowns, when I'm on TV playing, when I'm getting mentioned for Team of the Week, when I'm getting all these different accolades, and those guys are hey, he's not just out there on a team sitting for 3 or 4 years. He's out there playing.
Not only has Clark performed well on the field, but he continues to be a pillar for his community off the field, providing resources to kids in London who may be interested in American football.
So where I'm from in the UK, right, there's not a lot of resources and not a lot of opportunities.
Clark is proving that opportunities are available even overseas. Temple was one of more than a dozen schools to offer him a scholarship. Clark hopes his success, both on and off the field, can be an inspiration to kids from his hometown of Streatham. Live at Edberg Olsen Hall, I'm Tim McFarland. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tim. Now let's take a look at a more macro look at the team. And who better to do it than Inside the Nest host Xavier Adams. Welcome to Thursdays, Xavier.
Thanks for having me.
So, after the ranked loss against Oklahoma at home, how do you think this team can fare up against a team like Georgia Tech?
I think Temple's going to honestly have a really tough time against Georgia Tech. I think an underrated thing that we're not looking at here is the fact that Temple played against Oklahoma at home and they got beat up as bad as they did, 42-3. Georgia Tech is also a phenomenal-looking team, and now Temple is going down to downtown Atlanta to play them, and they have a 7-game home winning streak. Brent Key is a great head coach. I don't think he's going to allow Georgia Tech to kind of have a hangover effect following their win over Clemson. I think that they're going to be really prepared, and I don't really see Temple standing much of a chance against Georgia Tech.
And what do you think Georgia Tech is the strongest, and what do you think Temple is going to have the biggest challenge with?
Yeah, I think we saw Georgia Tech display that they can really run the ball well. Haynes King hasn't thrown a single touchdown pass, and it's because he's been able to use his legs so effectively. We know they're good at it. I think what we might see out of Georgia Tech is that we might see them try to open up their passing game a little bit because we haven't really seen it yet. They might try to take Temple as a sort of gimme week to try to get themselves right, but I think that our D-backs are going to be tested. I think our D-backs need to lock in and really get ready to be tested by Haynes King in that offense.
Well, let's take a look at conference play. In the American, Temple's had their first 3 games, and they've done better than last year, definitely. How do you think they're going to fare up in the American?
In the American, preseason before things started, everybody had Temple ranked at the very bottom. There were bottom 3 teams probably in the American ranking. I think when you look at the conference now and how Temple has started out their season, I think we're starting to see a lot of people shift them more towards that middle of the pack area, maybe even that slight upper echelon crew of teams. I think there's teams that are definitely still better than them, teams like Tulane, teams like Memphis, teams maybe like North Texas or UTSA, But I do think that Temple is going to fare out slightly better than we think. They might not perform as badly.
And who do you think is going to be Temple's hardest matchup in the American?
They have a couple hard matchups coming up. Their first is going to be UTSA. Jeff Traylor is a phenomenal head coach. I think he's going to give the Owls a very hard time. But one thing I am excited for is that Tulane matchup. It's at the end of the season, so we don't know how the season is going to shape up. Things change all the time. But currently, the way the schedule is looking, Tulane looks to be the hardest game for them. They're the most complete, they're the most all-around set, and they're likely going to give Temple their biggest run for their money.
Well, hopefully with the Georgia Tech game, Temple can bring in some momentum into Conference.
Yeah, it's been actually a very busy weekend around the American Conference, with the American actually putting on an impressive showing. 9 teams won their games, with only Temple, South Florida, Tulsa, and Florida Atlantic losing. Temple, of course, got crushed on Saturday by the Sooners, but South Florida also suffered a tough loss at the hands of the nationally ranked Miami. The Bulls were coming off of a 2-game win streak that had them ranked at 18, and after being tossed around by the Hurricanes, they've been swept all the way out of the top 25. In the only in-conference matchup, Navy walked all over Tulsa, winning 42-23 and staying undefeated at 3-0. Tulane, North Texas, and Memphis also moved to 3-0 following their wins, closing out a successful weekend of American Conference football.
Well, thank you, Xavier, for coming onto the desk. We will see you again hosting Inside the Nest on Tuesday at noon, win or lose.
And it is time for our first break, and it's time to focus on many other fall sports.
That includes men's soccer with its first win and the crew from field hockey that just keeps winning and winning. We'll be back in just 90 seconds.
Welcome back. Temple football didn't have the best news, but the other football team, my kind of football, had the opposite result. Men's soccer got its first win of the campaign in a 1-0 victory over Lafayette. Adrian Punate was able to deliver the match-clinching goal in the first half to secure the win. The Owls are 1-4-2 on the year. Speaking of winning, no Temple team is doing it better than field hockey. The Owls are 6-1. Last Friday, the Owls were at home against Lafayette. Senior Peyton Riggers scored early as the Owls take the 1-0 victory. The Owls didn't travel too far. The next game they stayed in state and drove up the Northeast Extension to Bethlehem. A few more goals here with a 4-1 win. On Tuesday, a Philly rival, and it's all about Rigger. A few hours after being named Big East Offensive Player of the Week, she was able to bag 2 goals in a shutout against the Dragons.
Here is what the Big East looks like as a whole. There are all non-conference records. Leading the board are the Owls, who are sitting at 6-1 on the season, thanks a 4-game winning streak. Next up is Liberty and Providence, who sit at 4-1, followed by Quinnipiac, who is sitting right behind at 4-2. The Owls' first 2 non-conference games are against 2 teams struggling for wins in Georgetown and Villanova. The Owls have a new freshman duo on North Broad, who are already more than just role players. Both are picking up goals and assists in many of Temple's wins. Freshmen Mara Lenting and Lucia Magro are 2 young athletes getting significant time on Temple's most successful fall team. The Temple field hockey team is off to one of its best starts in years, and an international flavor is one of the many reasons. Number 17, Lucia Magro from Argentina, and number 22, Mara Lenting from the Netherlands, are 2 of the 8 international players on Temple's squad.
Having the coach's stress and my teammates' stress is what helps me play like I did at home, because the change is something that really affected me at first.
And it's easy to find that trust. Both Lenting and Magro are near the top in points for a Temple team that is 6-1 on the year. Magro has already been named to the Big East Honor Roll, as well as been named Big East Freshman of the Week. Both Lucia Magro and Mara Lenting started in Friday's 1-0 win over Lafayette and already showing their capabilities early on in their collegiate careers. These 2 players showed just how strong they are during Temple's first game of the season. Lenting scored 2 goals against Delaware, and Magro, who added a goal and an assist in a come-from-behind win over Delaware.
You get the chance to have a role, so the seniors are very sweet and they talk to you just as like they talk to the other girls in the team, so they don't see you as a freshman.
After Tuesday's win at Drexel, the Owls are off to their best start since 2022. It's a near-perfect way for the Owls and their young duo to kick off conference play on Friday at Georgetown. We are already at our last break of the show, but don't go anywhere. There is plenty more to come.
When we come back, we will be highlighting one coach who has double the workload. We'll be back in just 90 seconds. Welcome back. The Temple men's and women's tennis squads seem to share more than just a passion for the court. OwlSports updates Tamar Stubbs is live at the studio set with a look at the similarities. Hey Tamar.
Thanks, Gabriel. The men's and women's tennis teams rely heavily on trust within its 2 programs. Yes, there are 2 teams, but there is only one true leader with their head coach doing one job that is meant for 2. Temple head coach Jeff Brandes is a 2-for-1 deal. He leads both the men's and women's tennis teams during the fall season.
You have to be very organized too. I have a great staff. Like I have a full-time assistant for each team, so it's very doable.
We need to fight, we need to compete.
Brandes is in his second year with the Owls, and he's trying to build a system on trust. And that often falls on his assistant coaches to lead, empowered to run practices.
I want him to rely on me, I want to take responsibilities and challenges. He might have, busy with women when he's traveling with the women's team, and I have to run practice with the men here. Like, that is the reason I'm here.
The trust flows through the entire program as coach leans on veteran players on both squads to be his eyes and ears, providing stability and a link to Temple's culture.
I know how things work here, so he can kind of ask me for some advice, or I have a better understanding which can help the program.
Building a type of structure and a good culture here is definitely something that we've been working on.
The men and women are two different teams, but they often practice side by side.
3, 1, 2, 3!
Temple!
In the Big Five, Temple and St. Joseph's University are the only two tennis programs where a head coach is at the helm for both men's and women's teams. From the Temple Tennis Complex, I'm Tamar Stubbs, and I'll swing it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tamar. That's all we have for today. Make sure to keep an eye out for coverage of Temple's weekend sports on our socials at OwlSports Update.
On behalf of our entire crew in the TV3 studio, she's Kayla Levine, I'm Gabriel Linigton. Thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful weekend.